gardeners. So first of all, I just want to say thank you to all of you because I just hit 10,000 subscribers and that is so amazing. It's still weird to me that you guys actually enjoy watching my videos because I feel like I'm just like not that interesting, but I'm glad that you guys enjoy them, and I'm so happy to be able to get you guys interested in reptiles and just teach you about everything that I know and like my little helpful tips, because I know that you guys really do appreciate it and that makes me so happy. So just thank you so much for being here and watching my videos. It really does mean a lot to me that you guys enjoy my videos and that you guys message me and say that they help you out a lot, so that just means everything to me. So I'm just gonna keep going, and today I'm going to be talking about the difference between baby crested geckos and adult crested geckos. A lot of people have asked me recently if taking care of a baby crested gecko is different than taking care of an adult, and honestly it is the same exact thing. You're gonna keep the humidity levels and the temperatures exactly the same. The only difference is that if you have a smaller crested gecko, you should be keeping it in a smaller enclosure, because if they have way too much space, they have a hard time finding their food. So it's just good to keep them in smaller enclosures. You still want to make sure that they have enough area to like roam around, because they definitely are very active animals. And you also want to provide for them a lot of foliage around their enclosure, just so that way they feel safe and secure. But then again, as your gecko does get older and does get bigger, you're going to want to upgrade it. Just make sure they have all the space that they need, so that way they can exercise and hunt and just do everything that they need to do naturally in their enclosure and not feel too constrained. As you're going to be bumping your gecko up, you want to make sure that they are eating, because that is the one sign. If your gecko moves into a larger enclosure and it's not eating, then there's a good chance that maybe it's not finding its food, or it's just stressed out because of all of the space. Another way to reduce the stress levels again would just to be adding all of the foliage around the enclosure, so that way they can feel safe and secure and have nice hiding spots, and then they'll be more inclined to eat. And the one way that a lot of people are worried, because it is very hard to tell if your baby crested gecko is eating food, basically you just have to look for poop. If there's poop around your enclosure, then that's a guaranteed sign that they are eating. So I basically just feed mine the same as all of the others. They get insects every week, as well as Pangea or Repashy. So everything is just, there's a lot of variety. You want to mix a lot of different things into their diets. I wouldn't recommend just sticking to just Pangea or just Repashy. I think you should just definitely switch it out and give them different things as often as you possibly can. So with all of that being said, again, with the mistings for a baby and an adult, it really depends on like the room that they're in. For my geckos, I only have to spray them every single nighttime. Sometimes you may have to spray them every morning and night, but you do want to make sure that they have a dry period during the day. And then you want to make sure that they have a heavy misting at nighttime, because that is when they're going to be waking up for their day or night, because they're nocturnal. So they're going to be waking up and they want to obviously get their hydration that they need. So that heavy misting at nighttime is just very important to them. So the one thing that I would like to mainly cover today is handling a baby crested gecko. They are way smaller compared to the adults, and I will show you a size reference. So this right here is an adult crested gecko. This is a female, obviously pretty good size. So this is actually Oakley's baby. If you can see, this is a very tiny crested gecko, so the babies are just significantly smaller than the adults. You can see the adult crawling on me right up here, and then again, this is the tiny little baby. And here is your little variation of sizes. So here's the baby crested gecko, and then this is actually her mom. So this is Oakley, but it's just a very significant size difference. So this little guy right here is actually Gizmo, and this is for my friend Marley. So I basically want to cover handling the baby crested geckos, because as you can see, there's a huge size difference between an adult and a baby. And the babies are just way more fragile, so you have to be very careful with them. So another thing with baby crested geckos is you don't want to be grabbing them like whatsoever. You don't want them to drop their tails, and it can just stress them out, and you just don't want to hurt them because they are so fragile. They're just so tiny. So basically, whenever you're gonna need to handle one, just coax them onto you, and always have a hand in front so that way they can just jump wherever they need to jump. This guy usually likes to just climb up my arm, so in order to stop him from going any further, I just put my arm in front of him and let him crawl onto my hand, and then just keep going back and forth and letting him just run up and run up and run up. And that's pretty much the only thing you can do when handling these guys. They can be very fast. You don't want to lose them. That's basically what I was most intimidated about when I got my very first Crested Gecko, was just the fact that I didn't want a baby because they are so small and they can be fast. And they love to jump too, so that can be intimidating. You just don't want to lose these guys. So it's definitely easier to handle an adult Crested Gecko rather than a baby. So again, with coaxing a baby gecko out of the enclosure, I always just go by the butt and just like move them a little bit. You don't want to be grabbing these guys like by the midsection, just because obviously they're so fragile and you don't want to hurt them. Also, putting your fingers in front of their faces so that way they can just climb onto you is the perfect thing to do. Another thing that comes with the care for a baby Crested Gecko, if you have a very like newborn gecko that just hatched out, you have to really pay attention to their toe pads, because some of them can have a very hard time shedding and their toes will actually get stuck together. So you want to make sure that that's not happening, because if that does happen, it could constrict the blood flow and then they can end up losing toes, and you obviously don't want that to happen. And because they can't use their toes, they can't really climb. So if your gecko's having a very hard time climbing, it's a really good indication that that gecko probably is having a really rough shed on the toes. And one way that you can fix that is by basically getting a little plastic container and putting some wet paper towels down, and then letting that gecko soak in there for a little bit, and then take a wet Q-tip and just try and work off the shed off of the toes as gently as you possibly can. So you obviously just don't want to hurt the animal, so you just have to be very gentle in all of your movements and everything that you do with these little guys. But other than that, the care is pretty much exactly the same. Again, you're going to be feeding them and misting them the same amounts as all of your others. It's the same exact care for an adult as it is for a baby. The babies are basically just more fragile. They may require a little bit more attention with the shedding, and other than that, it's pretty much the same. So I hope that I covered everything today. Leave a comment, let me know what you think in case I missed anything, but pretty much the care is exactly the same for these guys if you want a baby Crested Gecko or an adult, just because the babies can be fast and a little intimidating because you don't want to lose them or hurt them. So it's definitely way more handleable, and the bigger ones are just way more durable. So I would recommend them to any beginners, just to get an adult right off the bat, just because it's just easier and you'll get a better understanding for the gecko and its movements, and you won't have to be worried about hurting them because they're so fragile. So I'm gonna go ahead and put Gizmo back. You did really good. Usually this guy's like constantly moving, but he's just chilling today. And one more quick thing, I did set up a Patreon account, so the link will be in the description. You guys can go there and become a patron and support me. Everything that you guys can donate just really helps me take care of all of these animals, and then just be able to create more content for you guys and videos. And then there are benefits that you guys can get. I'm still trying to work on all of the tiers, so if you guys have any ideas of what you guys would like as a benefit to donating to me, just let me know in a comment, because I would love to just be able to create better tiers. So far I basically just have like donations, or you can get a print like every month, because I also do reptile photography. You can also just check out the prints that I have in my Etsy account. It's just called Reptilian Garden on Etsy. So that's pretty much everything that I have right now. I was kind of thinking about maybe doing like a donation, and I can write you guys letters if you guys have any questions that you guys want me to personally answer for you guys. I'm totally open to that. So yeah, just leave a comment, let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any ideas for what you guys might like for some of the tiers, which are basically just the benefits that you guys can get for donating to me. So yeah, I'm just open to everything, because I'm totally new to Patreon right now, so I'm like still trying to learn it all. But yeah, definitely open to some helpful advice for that. So just leave a comment, let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that it was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.